Am I really about to risk my credibility once more by making another opinionated ranking video? Do I really want to poke the bear again? Nah, I'd rather make a video about Lethal Company.
Get the Joy-Cons.
Around 2 years ago, I made a video on this channel ranking all of the base courses on Mario Kart 8. It was made before Nintendo announced the Booster Expansion DLC, and for reasons that honestly are not all that important, that video never quite hit the same views as my other videos, even though I was quite proud of it personally. The point is that I made that video before anyone even knew that an expansion pass was coming. I certainly wasn't expecting any new content for Mario Kart 8 to come out, yet alone something that would double the course roster, and add Funky Kong. That's crazy to me. That also means my video is now hilariously outdated, and while I am okay with that, it does give me a second chance to try again with the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe ranking. So hello there everyone, my name is Ed. I am the self-proclaimed ambassador of cringe, and I will be your guide through this now complete journey through every single race course in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh shit, here we go again.
To begin, I would like to use this preamble to explain my initial thoughts on Mario Kart's DLC as a whole, how I ended up deciding on my rankings in the first place, as well as setting a few ground rules, preferably in that order, although I probably will screw even that up. Let's start with my take of the DLC itself. I was not impressed with the opening lineup at the start of the booster course. I, for one, was frankly insulted, and for a moment I did express regret from ever dropping down my cash if this was what my money was being funneled into. Absolutely pathetic. However, as the booster course continued to drop more and more cups, the overall quality and track decision improved for the better, and once we started getting more playable racers, I did take back those scathing comments I made earlier. But while my overall satisfaction of paying for the booster course was positive, that doesn't mean that the individual courses will all get good ratings. I'm merely expressing my concern as to what Nintendo was actively thinking of when they released the first two cups in the depressing state that they were in. You might find those comments of mine just now as a bit out of place, but there's a reason why I brought them up. Something about this ranking that needs to be said is that there's an aspect to the booster course that I will not be taking into account when ranking them, and that's the frankly insulting textures that were used for damn near all of the tracks when the booster course was first being dropped. My goodness, what was Nintendo inhaling when starting off this DLC? A lot of those early courses do not live up to the graphical standards of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that we should have been expecting, and instead, what we got were these fake-looking plastic model life-scale dioramas of iconic courses plopped and glued together by a child placed underneath a skybox. The models used for these courses pulled me right out of the immersion, and if I considered how ugly these textures were, this entire ranking would be heavily skewed against the first half of the booster course. Obviously, not every course from that first half is awful. In fact, some of these are indeed otherwise very good, which is why in the end I decided to just let it go and not let the course's appearance and textures get in the way here. It's still a major problem in my opinion, and I'm still most likely going to mention this ugly texture mapping a lot moving forward. That's why I'm bringing it up here before talking about anything else. It bothered me that much, but you can all be rest assured that I will not let that ruin the placements for otherwise fun courses to race and drive on. Moving on from that, some of you might have noticed that my demeanor for this particular video is a bit more reserved than how I've been handling my more recent videos. For nearly all of my content, I try to put on more of an entertaining performance while still trying to be informative or when giving my opinions or commentary. I intentionally chose to behave with a more sillier and outlandish tone for my videos, and for the most part, I had always thought that my audience quite enjoyed my performances. Well, it's kinda hard to know for sure when the most recent videos on my channel give me mixed reception. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because most of the comments I received throughout my videos were very much positive. Thank you all very much for those, by the way, it means a lot to me. But I did see several comments that were being upvoted within my Pokemon Direct video, and they were essentially criticizing me based on how I was behaving, not by what I was arguing about. So rather than risk damaging my credibility, not that I had much to begin with, I instead decided that this time I would give a more down-to-earth approach to this video. No scenes or gags of me making a complete gesture of myself, no moments of me shouting or laughing, and no goofy voices like I did for the Pokemon Direct video. All the comments I saw were like, "Oh my god, Pokemon's finally listening to us!" It'll just be me talking about my opinions on 8 Deluxe and the booster course in a calmer and more respectable fashion. I'm sorry to anyone who possibly did like my jokey persona in my past videos, but for this video, I'm gonna play this one safe. To be honest, it's also an experiment of mine, because for my next video, I am absolutely gonna ham it up like I did for my Pokemon videos. One will be jovial and goofy, the other will be a lot more chill and cozy. I'm curious to see how each video fares between each other. If I get more comments telling me that this calmer demeanor of mine is better than my jestery self, then I'll have an idea of when I should pull myself back depending on the topic. Having said all of that, I'll take this moment to say that whether the comments given to me are positive, negative, or even critical, I really do enjoy the feedback nonetheless. Feedback, especially critical feedback, helps me fix any mistakes I made and teaches me what to add or avoid for future videos. One comment I got in the past, for example, pointed out that my video camera was skewing the audio ratio between left and right, which I wouldn't have known to fix had no one ever pointed that out to me. Once again, I thank everyone for all their words on my works, and I hope you all will continue to enjoy my content in the future, and I look forward to more criticism in that regard in the future as well. I promise that I'll try to avoid any meta commentary about my own procedures from here on out. Anyways, I mentioned before that this video is a pseudo-sequel of sorts to a video I made previously, so let's get back on track. Before I actually started adding the booster courses to my existing list, I rewatched my original Mario Kart 8 video just to check and see if I still agreed with my older opinions. After all, that video was created long before the release of the booster course. While I feel like my opinions back then still hold up quite well despite popular opinions saying otherwise, I'm happy to announce to those who did watch the old video that I did make a few big changes to the base ranking for the better. Wild Woods, Mount Wario, and Big Blue all have grown on me way more, and as a result, they're all a bit higher than where they were on my original list. I will fully admit that I did not give those courses the respect they deserved the last time, and if you're gonna make fun of me for bad takes, ding me for the placements of those three alone. Also, my grudge against my high school marching band has pretty much fizzled out by now, so maybe it's time to rank Music Park for real this time instead of spitefully chucking it into the gutter like I did before. As for everything else, my opinions are basically the same as before, so not much more to say regarding Base Game 8 Deluxe. Since the booster course is complete, having been all released to us in full, not to mention the amount of time I was given to experiment with these courses before making this video, I do feel confident enough to give my opinions on every course. Whether or not I do a good job in giving my explanations as to why I like or dislike a course, I'll let you, the viewers, be the judge. Again, this is an update of sorts to my original Mario Kart 8 ranking video, so all 96 courses will be listed. I did say, however, that my overall opinions on the base list haven't changed, so rather than repeating myself 48 times, unless I have something new to say about any of the base courses, which will be rare, I'll only be giving descriptions to the tracks that didn't exist in this game back in 2021. How I made this ranking is pretty simple, and it boils down to my own personal enjoyability, not objective criticism by itself. Objectivity can play a factor if I think there's merit, but most, if not all of these rankings were essentially pitting two courses against each other and asking myself, which course between the two do I enjoy racing on more? And the winner would be placed above the loser. Rinse and repeat. It's not exactly rocket science, guys. If I was to attempt to rank every course by how I feel they are on a factual, objective scale, I most likely would get thrown off a burning bridge tied to a rope around my waist. So, just to make things crystal clear about how this video is ranked, since the last time I made a ranking video, I've taken a few notes, and something I didn't do previously was place my rankings in a tier list. That might have saved my hide a bit more, as that would have shown where my entries would stand on their own and not just compared to everything else. So I'm gonna pull another experiment a bit for this ranking and add letter grades to show where we would place these courses on a tier. No, that wasn't a mistake I just made. I specifically said we on purpose. I asked my friends to lend their opinions for this video alongside my own, but to make it easier to edit this video, they're not actually going to join me for commentary. Instead, I asked them to take their time to go over every course in 8 Deluxe, including the booster courses, and grade them based on their own opinions. That's why they had so much power over me in terms of my channel's release order. As we go through every course, you'll see each of their grades in all four corners of the screen, along with mine in the center. This also has the advantage of showing that all 5 of us have widely varied opinions. There are plenty of times where our likes and dislikes over several courses clash hard with each other, which, if you ask me, is the best way to live. Some people will have differing tastes. That's just how life works. Just to make sure everyone is all clear on the situation, here is the grading scale that my friends and I used for ranking the courses, moving from worst rank to best rank. E rank, actual literal garbage. These courses are an insult to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's prestige, and I go out of my way to avoid racing on them as much as I can. D rank, not all that good. I don't really enjoy racing on these courses, but unlike the lower tier, I don't actively attempt to not drive on them. C rank, middle ground. I think these courses are fine, but compared to the rest of Mario Kart 8's lineup, these could have been better. B rank, genuinely good. I like that these courses are in the game and I enjoy playing on them. Courses that are just creative in general, even if I don't have much to say, will most likely end up in this tier, unless the creativity went against the purpose and spoils the race. In regards to what I mean for that last part, I like to use Cheeseland as an example. A rank, for sure good. I really like these courses and racing on them is always fun, at least for me. And finally, S rank, beautiful. Mario Kart 8 should be proud of these courses, for they are truly the cream of the crop in visuals, drive play, and creativity. If you've seen my other ranking videos, then you should already be familiar with how I structure these lists. 4th worst all the way to 4th best, followed by bottom 3, and ending it off with top 3. Well, there are 96 courses this time around. Should I? You know what? Yeah, I think I'll up the ante. Instead of top and bottom 3, I'm gonna do top and bottom 5 instead. That means that I'll be starting at 91 and moving all the way down to 6, or I guess all the way up to 6. Then bottom 5 and finishing off with top 5. How much of a difference does it make when you add 48 more courses to a racing game with 48 courses already in it? I think it's time to find out. #91, Coconut Mall. Thanks a lot, Expansion Pass. Thanks a lot for taking one of the most iconic and fun courses from Mario Kart Wii and bringing it back, now more empty and boring than anything else. The map itself remains mostly unchanged, but all of the wacky hijinks and cute little odds and ends were removed and replaced with nothing. They removed all of the escalators and replaced them with conveyors, and I don't think I need to explain why that's ridiculous. Yes, I know other games did it too, but we're not talking about those games. They could have very easily put the escalators back. That's not an excuse. On the Wii, it actually felt like driving through a mall. Here, it just feels like an empty building made specifically to be driven through. I'll grant you that unique ads have been brought back, but they pale in comparison to what we had on the Wii, and even then, that doesn't account for the stuff that was not brought back. Example, they removed the "Have a nice day" sign that was up the stairs before the parking lot, and replaced it with nothing. What is the point of bringing back Coconut Mall if the end result doesn't feel at all like we're driving through a mall? Nintendo got such a backlash from these cars near the finish line not moving during the race that they had to patch it. Nowadays, they actually move, which is a start, but what about the rest of the course that you ruined? Want to patch those up as well? No? Then Coconut Mall, ranked at the near bottom of the list it is. Once again, another fan favorite is placed near the very bottom, just barely scraping the edge before the top 5, or I guess in this case, bottom 5. 90, Sky Garden. I have a lot to say on this one, and my thoughts actually shifted for the worse the longer the booster course was adding more and more courses. Obviously, by the time the final courses were added to the game and we had some time to simmer with everything completed, my opinion on this course in particular was shot. Where I have it ranked now is the result of me thinking things over after several months. Unfortunately, I have to go back on my word. I would now rather play on SNES Rainbow Road than this rendition of Sky Garden, although I'd argue this isn't exactly a case of Sky Garden putting its best foot forward. Problem number 1. All the aspects that made Sky Garden so visually appealing are gone. The blue brick road looked good. The mystical vines you saw everywhere held up the course itself and gave this land an almost otherworldly feeling. But what we have here looks like a bland knockoff, almost as if it was directly yanked from a sleazy mobile gacha game. Dear God, I hope this doesn't become a trend. Whoa guys, a literal Sky Garden. Holy bananas. Nintendo sure showed us. That is indeed a Sky Garden.
Butterfly in the sky,
But if that was all Nintendo did to butcher this course, I wouldn't have ranked it as far down as I did. Credit where credit is due, I was watching Shafrilla's own Mario Kart 8 video, and he pointed out what I'm about to talk about next in his own video, which is problem number 2. Admittedly, I haven't played the DS or the Super Circuit version of Sky Garden in a long time, so I was completely oblivious to a rather stark decision made by Nintendo during the production of this particular racetrack. When I placed footage of the DS version and the Switch version of Sky Garden side by side, besides everything I talked about so far, do you guys notice anything else strange about these two courses? Nintendo, you took away the aesthetic, you took away the mysterious atmosphere, and you changed the actual layout of the course. Why is this place even called Sky Garden at this point? It's another location entirely. So, why isn't this an E rank? Well, 2 reasons. First, it's not like this course is actively infuriating to drive on. What we do have is still decent enough, regardless of it going against its namesake. Second, and this is the big one, the music is still heavenly. I imagine that if they had borked the song, people would have gone absolutely insane. So naturally, Nintendo made sure that the music was at least S tier. I'll give them that much. Not giving them anything else other than that though. Just so we're clear, given the choice between the two, I would rather race here than at Mario Kart 8's rendition of Coconut Mall. It's not a clean sweep though, I swapped the position of these two multiple times as I was working on this video. But for now, Coconut Mall for Switch is just a tad worse for me than High Altitude Terrace, because it sure as f*** ain't Sky Garden. 89, Baby Park. If this placement shocks you, please refer to my previous Mario Kart 8 ranked video where I feel like my opinions on this course still hold water. I am fully aware that this course is very popular, and I can clearly see why. Please do not burn me at the stake again, these are just my opinions. 88, Toad Circuit. I mentioned in my previous Mario Kart ranked video that I would have liked to see more of Mario Kart 7's tracks brought into 8 because those were some of the most creative and actually good courses. Boy, do I look like a buffoon now. You must believe me when I say that Mario Kart 7 does indeed have awesome courses, but generic racetrack number 70, while not at all a bad course, was not one that I was referring to. If you're going to bring back a simple course like Toad Circuit, please update it at least a bit more and please try to make it more unique. And I know that I said I wouldn't let visuals and textures get in the way of my judgment here, but I'm making an exception for the bare bones, thrown together, blank green grass plastic toy set in a basic skybox Toad Circuit. God, the first 2 cups in the booster course had some awful courses and awful choices. Again, I am okay with Toad Circuit's existence, but this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You could have tried a bit harder. 87, Ice Ice Outpost. 86, Excite Bike Arena. 85, through 75. Here we go. Paris Promenade, Tokyo Blur, New York Minute, Sydney Sprint, London Loop, Amsterdam Drift, Bangkok Rush, Rome Avanti, Los Angeles Laps, Vancouver Velocity, and Madrid Drive, also known as the World Tour courses. I get it. I get that all of these courses are the reason why we got the booster course in the first place. I can respect Nintendo's wishes to preserve as many as possible. I can respect that company decision. That does not mean I have to like or accept that we got them in the first place. Okay, I don't hate these tracks for existing, but my problems with pretty much all of them are the same. For one thing, let's face it, they are all really weak and/or shallow depictions of real-world locations. If someone were to weave all of these courses into one race, I'm sorry to say that I would not be able to tell where one city ends and another begins. Except I guess Vancouver, because it's snowing in that one. Next, for being sectioned courses like Wario Hills, what? For being sectioned courses like Mount Wario, they are confusing as all heck. Unlike in a course like Yoshi Valley where getting lost is part of the fun, in a course like, I don't know, Paris, it's hard to tell which way you're supposed to go only to smash into an obnoxious glowing set of arrows that's blocking your path. I realize now that I'm supposed to go left, but the last time I drove down this road I went right. So, sorry for thinking I was going to get any form of consistency. I fully admit that this is a me problem, but besides that, I also think that these real-world locations throw a wrench into course potential that we could have gotten. Look at Toad Harbor, that's just San Francisco, but with the perfect Mushroom Kingdom spin to it. Then look at Amsterdam Drift. Yep, this sure feels like Amsterdam, I guess. Also, why did you guys opt to make a course based on New York City when New Donk City was right there? I would argue that you could have added some actual New York elements and it would have still worked. These Mario Kart Tour courses are fine for a game like Mario Kart Tour. But this isn't Mario Kart Tour. So at the very least, Nintendo could have ramped it up just a touch to give these courses that genuine Mario Kart 8 flair. Instead, we got these. I'm not actually ranking any of these individually, but if I had to pick which one is the worst of the bunch, I suppose it would have to be Tokyo Blur on account of it being the most boring for me to actually drive through, which is ironic, given that this was made by a Japanese development team. I also find that quite funny, because I distinctively remember CNB making a comment at some point in the past about how Tokyo Blur is one of the better World Tour courses. That's not a knock, I just find our conflicting opinions on this topic entertaining. Now, you may have noticed that not every World Tour course was lumped together just now. There are a few stragglers that managed to shine above the rest, and I will talk about why when we get to them. Hello, post-edit Ed here. I am actually adding a last-second edit to this, long after the script was made and halfway through making this video. You know how I had to record all of this footage to get into the video? Well, I replayed through Vancouver Velocity, and I have to admit, I did not give that course enough credit. So, I am officially bumping it up to position number 75. It is the best of the tour courses that I listed just now. I mean, it could have been much better, but like, I think it looks a lot better than what I gave credit for. That's the point I'm making here. Okay, back to the video. 74. Berlin Byways. Everything I said about the World Tour courses also applies to this course, but Berlin Byways gets the honor of being above the rest, as well as the prestige of being ranked on its own, exclusively because of that Jesus tier music. I know that the common consensus is that Sydney Sprint's music is the fan favorite, and I can clearly hear why. But Berlin Byways has the best music, period? Like, Shy Guy Falls is still a banger in my eyes, but even that track pales in comparison to Berlin Byways. Nintendo went so hilariously hard into the music for a race course based in and on Germany that I no joke have the song on my work playlist. It's that good. Actually, you know what? Whatever song is playing right now, Future Ed, please shut it down and instead play the song used in Berlin Byways. Thank you very much. I would also like to point out that I was originally planning a day trip to a heavily German-focused tourism town that I happen to live reasonably close to for the sake of doing a live-action skit, which I believe to be very, very funny when I scripted it out. Thankfully, since I'm going out of my way to not act like a jester for this video, I don't have to waste money on gasoline. 73. Dry Desert. 72. SNES Rainbow Road. 71. Choco Mountain. I am now left with the unavoidable circumstance of beating down several fan-favorite courses from Mario Kart 64, a game that I did not grow up with. With Choco Mountain, I should have memories of playing it on the DS, but it's like I never actually played on it because I am drawing a literal blank. With that in mind, let's look at the version available on the Switch. It's a brown mountain course ripped straight from Nintendo 64.
Oh no, somebody's going to get an email.
I look at courses like Royal Raceway, which was remade from scratch and recreated for a modern Mario Kart game without losing its identity from the 64. And then I see Plastic Choco Mountain and Bloody Groan. Apparently the theme is supposed to be that the mountain is made out of literal chocolate. Sorry, I don't see that. Is it a bad course? Ideally, no, not particularly. Do I think it's a bad Mario Kart Deluxe course? I'm sorry to say, yes. 70. Twisted Mansion. I'm keeping this in the script, although it might be very outdated. But this is Rose's husband's favorite course. At least it was when I made the first video. So hey, here's that Twisted Mansion shoutout for all you Twisted Mansion fans. 69. Wario's Gold Mine. 68. DS Mario Circuit. I ranked this course above Wario's Gold Mine. Feel free to let that sink in. I would rather race on DS Mario Circuit than Wario's Gold Mine. This course is not bad on a technical level, and I can respect the nostalgia to a certain degree, but out of all the options for Mario Kart DS, why did Nintendo pick this specific course? The answer should be fairly obvious, because it wasn't Tour. Riveting. If you were expecting me to say more, then you put more thought into this than the amount of time Nintendo put into the design of this track. If I had to stretch to come up with a unique criticism, then I would say that this place is certainly much more windier than most other Mario circuits. But the theming of a generic Mushroom Kingdom course has been done before, and in cooler ways as well. See Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 8. 67. Donut Plains 3. 66. DS Cheap Cheap Beach. 65. Bone Dry Dunes. 64. GBA Mario Circuit. Oof, not a course for Mario Kart 64 at the 64th slot. Better luck next time, ladies and gentlemen. 63. Athens Dash. This course is also separated from the others because for 99% of the race, we're not actually driving in a city. We're in the mountains with Greek theming sprinkled throughout. That's actually kinda clever. This feels like a bit more effort was placed than how I originally gave credit for, but it wasn't enough because, fun fact, I accidentally mistook Athens Dash for Rome Avanti when actually listing out the courses. So Rome Avanti was ranked at 63 instead of what actually belonged here. I then replayed Rome Avanti to help collect my thoughts and went, wait, this is not the course I was thinking of. Whoops. I know enough about Italy and Greece to be able to separate them in real life, but the fact that I could jumble the two so bloody easily in Mario Kart just shows how bare bones and bland these World Tour courses truly are. That, or I'm just an ignorant American. I'm sure arguments could be made on both sides. 62. Toad's Turnpike. 61. Rock Mountain. Better than Toad's Circuit in terms of being chosen from the 3DS game, and like the other ones, overall not a bad course. Still a pretty bland choice though. Wario Shipyard was right there. That's two Wario-themed courses I was dying for, and even when Mario Kart 8 gets a second wind, we still get neither. But in the end of the charade, we get... fucking God's sakes. Rock Mountain? Come on. Again, Rock Mountain in execution is fine here, and I'm cool with racing on it. That's why I have it at C rank. But there are plenty of other courses from the 7th game that are better in concept that I would have preferred to be represented in 8 Deluxe instead. Let's give a short list. Shy Guy Bazaar, Woohoo Loop, Maka Woohoo. As a matter of fact, I will take a stand for Daisy Hills here. 60. Mario Kart 8's Mario Circuit. 59. Peach Gardens. I said before that of all the courses owned, or at least based off of Princess Peach, Royal Raceway was the best, and I stand by that. Especially when it comes to all courses that fit that description in Mario Kart 8. Don't get me wrong, once again, I like Peach Gardens, but the appeal kinda dampens when you realize this only got picked for the booster course because it was in Mario Kart Tour. This is just the Mario Kart Tour version of Peach Gardens with better graphics and texture.
Whoa, hang on there, Ed. This rendition of the course has more going on for it than the DS and Wii iterations. After all, you go backwards during the final lap.
Yeah, I certainly didn't notice back when I first drove on this course because I was being a smarty pants with my friends and the game kicked me out during lap 2.
You could stop your cart and do that right now.
Alright, sounds good. Oh, my DS is on red.
You actually don't pull it!
No, legit.
I just saw that he stopped moving on the map and I was like, oh no!
But looking back, I should have seen it coming from the jump because why else would Nintendo slap these obnoxious glowing pink arrows here? Am I supposed to be excited that we get more leftovers from a bad mobile game? Sorry for being a wet blanket, I guess, but I dropped a total of $90 on this game. I think I should be allowed to have standards. 58. Riverside Park. Taking a Game Boy course and making it into a modern Mario Kart 8 course is very hard, but I'm willing to give them a bit of leeway if they at least try a little. They certainly tried here, but if I can tell immediately that this was pulled from Tour, then you do lose a few points with me. Having said that, I can get behind the attempt, and again, I realize that Mario Kart Tour is the whole reason we got these courses in 8 in the first place. But as we will soon see, there are in fact examples where we can see that Nintendo actually put effort in to make a course worthy of Mario Kart 8 standards. Riverside Park didn't make that cut for me, but it does serve as a good course anyway regardless of my bias against Tour, and I can give respect when I think it is due. Remember, courses that I ranked with a C are completely fine in my opinion. I just have tastes that go in a different direction from these. Well, that, or there are 1 or 2 huge flaws that keep them from going any higher. Or also, it's a blatant Tour ripoff. 57. Daisy Circuit. The Wii version is slightly better because that orange sunset sold me a dream, and blocking the staircase shortcut with more Tour fluff doesn't sit well with me. But other than those 2 tiny nitpicks, I do like the rendition we got on the Switch. Honestly, this course isn't worth being a snothead over, and I am always a sucker for seaside locations. 56. Water Park. 55. Koopa Cape. I'm sure most people will hate me even more for placing this one where it is. Koopa Cape is an absolute fan favorite, and it just so happens that I love it too. So then why is it this low with a C rank? Simple. If it's not broken, then please do not fix it. My favorite part of this course was, is the marine tube that takes you briefly through the sea until spitting you out near the finish line. Whatever name this version of Koopa Cape wants to give this half-pipe horror under the sea is bunk, and I am not here for it. Not to mention that the rest of this place doesn't even hold a candle to the Wii version either. I just hate the undersea section even more. Visual-wise, the Mario Kart 8 rendition of Koopa Cape has no personality. A trend that I hope all of you have noticed by now is that I have little to zero tolerance when it comes to just asset flipping a course from Mario Kart Tour and expecting people to swallow it. I will spit that crap out into the toilet and flush it. It's noticeable in other courses too, but here it is the third most blatant example of Mario Kart Tour tomfoolery outside of the World Tour courses. You are very lucky that Coconut Mall and Sunset Wild saved you from my wrath, Koopa Cape. And you are also very lucky that you are still fun to race on despite your obvious apathy to behave as a course for Mario Kart 8. 54. Shroom Ridge. Do you all realize how silly I look when I say that I prefer Shroom Ridge over Toad's Turnpike in my previous Mario Kart ranked video, and then have to deal with Nintendo giving us a bare naked version of Shroom Ridge that makes Toad's Turnpike look like an 8th wonder of the world? And despite having said all of that, I still prefer Shroom Ridge over Toad's Turnpike. The point I'm trying to make here is that if people hate it, I wouldn't be shocked. What I am shocked about is that I'm letting this blatant Tour ripoff stand this high in the rankings because of how much my nostalgia goggles are squeezing my head. 53. Calamari Desert. Actual effort given to a course from a past game to make it better in the modern era? Are we sure that this is a course that was used in Mario Kart Tour? Well, yes, I mean, look at it. But I appreciate the intent. When we were suddenly veered onto the train tracks and began moving through the tunnel, that was a nice surprise. Not enough to make it any higher, because I know that wasn't Tour, but if you're going to bring back a 64-era Mario Kart track, that's a good start. Improve the quality and not make a carbon copy of its past iterations, especially in 8 Deluxe, where making it better than its old counterpart should be the bloody standard. Having said that, if I see any more annoying glowing arrows that break the immersion and my patience, I'm going to go back on my word regarding what I said about ignoring textures and Tour-esque nitpicks. Please stop using those! They are irritating to both look at and deal with. 52. Grumble Volcano. 51. Mario Kart Stadium. 50. DK Jungle. 49. Music Park. 48. Royal Raceway. 47. Piranha Plant Cove. I probably would have ranked this one worse if I didn't love the theme and concept. Tropical undersea shenanigans are always a cheat sheet to access my guilty pleasure, when done well. And I'm sorry, I can't help but love the vibes. Nighttime undersea ruins with Petey's likeness sprinkled throughout. Like, have any of you actually drifted down an outdoor lazy river at night when not many other people are around to get in your way? I feel like this course would have made my top 5 if it had a choose-your-own-path kind of gimmick like Yoshi Valley. It's a shame that it had to be created during the Tour era. 46. Sweet Sweet Canyon. 45. Wild Woods. See, I told you I like this course way more now. 44. Boo Lake. It is very rare for me to say that the tour version of a course is better than its Wii counterpart, but against all odds, Boo Lake on Switch is the best version we've gotten so far of all the iterations. For one thing, we are actually racing on a lake this time instead of the lake being vaguely hinted at. Alright, listen, I know better than most people that if you are to look straight down when cruising through a sea or lake, the water below you is difficult to see, especially in the dead of night. It almost looks like the boat is flying over pure abyss, and when explaining that out loud, I can understand the intention. But I'm sorry, that illusion didn't work on the Game Boy, and it didn't work on the Wii. So the best solution would be to stop trying to replicate that and just put us on the lake, which if you ask me, works. I'm not sure if any of you have caught on to this yet about me, but I love living out at sea and lakes. Alright, and with that, we have reached the halfway point. So far, we've covered 48 courses, but don't forget, we're saving my most hated 5 for the near end. So the numbering may not look correct at a glance. Trust me though, we still have 48 courses left to cover. If you were looking for an opportunity to grab a snack or refill a drink, now might be the best time. So, real talk. How many of you guys are still here since we started? I'm sure I've upset a few people. I'm not trying to on purpose, and I hold no ill will to anyone who disagrees with me. I'm just trying to be entertaining without looking like a complete... I'm sure I failed at that, but, you know, I can try. I would like to point out that I have yet to actually rank any courses within E rank. Pretty crazy, huh? Well, still, of the courses I covered so far, I may have some pretty glaring problems with many of them, but I still like to race on pretty much all of them, so hopefully I won't get in too much trouble with the Mario Kart community. Alright, break time's just about over. Let's get right back to it.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
43. Rosalina's Ice World. The problem with this course back when it debuted was that it was a B tier course in a game where 99% of the Nitro roster was nothing but A and S tier courses, and as a result, this one fell off the wayside. But that's not really fair because this course is still good. We are definitely not on Earth, and actually driving through this world is both challenging and fun. I'm sorry if I'm once again going against the grain, but in a Mario Kart game with 96 courses and damn near half of them is ripped straight from Mario Kart Tour, Rosalina's Ice World has a lot more fair competition, and shocker, it's better than a lot of them. 42. Sky High Sunday. Based on how this ranking has been going thus far, I should hate this course. It has the same technical layout as Baby Park and Excite Bike, and it still has the ugly plastic look as the other tour courses that drive me up a wall. But I'll be real, I actually kinda like this one, mostly because at the time of its release, Sky High Sunday was a clear sign that Nintendo was learning its lesson and trying, keyword trying, to improve on the booster DLC courses. You can get a lot worse, and while this next part might age poorly, I actually still like playing Fall Guys every now and then. I say that because this course absolutely screams Fall Guys. Yes, it could have been a lot better graphics-wise, but for being a fine course during the opening era of the booster course, I will take this and run with it. 41. DK Summit. This course follows the Grumble Volcano mythos of not messing with anything and keeping it as it was before. It's just like it was on the Wii, and I'm okay with that because it's still fun as hell to drive through. Again, for context, Shea Frillos was releasing an entire series ranking the courses for every game in the series, and I did watch them. Don't worry, his rankings didn't affect mine in any way, but I do have to agree with him, the statue of Donkey Kong replacing the one of Mario back on the Wii is a lot more fitting given the theme. This is a change from Wii to Tour that I can respect. Shame that we couldn't get a version of DK Summit to match the quality of Mario Kart 8, but I guess that at this point it's just wishful thinking. 40. Daisy Cruiser. On November 10th, 1975, the Great Lakes freighter known as the Edmund Fitzgerald sank near... Oh, wait, never mind. I hate to break this to all of you that thought I would adore this course, but Daisy Cruiser was poorly designed in all subsequent remakes past its debut game. Not the ability to drive through the pool, I'm actually fine with that change. No, I'm referring to the shortcut. In Double Dash, that hatch leading downward was clearly leading to a subsection of the engine room, which was a nice nod to actual vessel engineering. Now, the engine room is completely flooded, which if you know anything about ship construction and buoyancy, and the importance of the engine room, this change is kinda sorta not good. Modern ships are usually built to be able to withstand up to 2 or 3 flooded compartments and still operate perfectly fine, depending on the construction, inspections, and at that point you're booking it to the nearest harbor to not take any more risks anyway if damage to the ship has indeed occurred. The engine room is a different story altogether, being the room that controls everything, lights, propulsion, electronics, the gosh darned rudder. Even if the engines are held within multiple rooms at once, if those get flooded, the ship is, well, yeah. Not to mention, water is heavy, and as we can see in Mario Kart 8, it's filled all the way to the top of the hatch. A shame this cruise is about to get Costa Concordia due to the aforementioned conditions of the engine room. No, wait, that's not entirely accurate. Costa Concordia hit a rock, then the engine room got flooded. Daisy Cruiser is just trying to be clever or funny. I don't know. Why did they do this? The point is, I cannot move on from this blunder in design, but other than that, this course is still very fun and creative in attempt. I'm sorry I belted all that out, but you gotta understand that was bottled inside of me for years now. 39. Shy Guy Falls. 38. Yoshi's Circuit. 37. Mushroom Gorge. I can still tell this is a tour rip, but unlike the others, it's personally a lot harder to tell with Mushroom Gorge, and I'll take what I can get. For this one, I actually had to go back to my Wii U and play the Wii version of this course just to make sure my brain wasn't playing tricks on me. I know that the blue mushroom didn't exist back then, duh, but I distinctly remembered that the path veering to the left didn't exist either. I was wrong. It was in the Wii version, and it was also in the 3DS version. I'm not sure why I thought that path didn't exist. Hang on, I need to examine this again. Give me a moment. So I just watched every iteration of Mushroom Gorge, training my brain not to make that mistake again, as well as to see how the course was handled in Tour. Thank you Silent Gaming Fish for the opportunity. And I discovered that while the Switch version of Mushroom Gorge is for sure a tour rip, it was actually changed and edited quite a bit. The bounce rooms were completely rearranged, adding more to mimic their layout in Wii, while still keeping the blue glider shroom. Again, why were only some of the courses revamped/edited for this game and not others? It's not a life-changing improvement when compared to its Wii counterpart, but seeing as how there actually was a genuine attempt here, and the course is still a fun time regardless, I'll let this one slide. Or I guess in this case, I'll let it bounce. Okay, I cannot move on from this until I mention it. Is Silent Gaming Fish playing as Bowser in a lab coat? I honestly thought Shea Frillis was joking when he made that comment in his videos. I know that we should not be looking gift horses in the mouth, but how come we got Dr. Bowser before we got Hipster Bowser from those old 3DS customization commercials? I would have actually played Tour for longer than 2 days if we had gotten this outfit. Look at him, our mighty king is looking fleek as all heck.
Congratulations, you're a failure.
36. Mario Kart 8's Bowser's Castle. 35. Ribbon Road. Please take notes, Toad Circuit. In my opinion, this is how to properly design a course using toys from a child's playset. And while she may not have the same reasonings that I have as to why, Rose absolutely loves this course. It may not be my all-time favorite, but it's certainly hers. I'm sure the children's playroom here is certainly a factor because of her own. What do you mean I can't talk about Rose's kid in this video? Yes, I know it's a bit crass, but I thought the theming of Ribbon Road was, no, you do not have to call her. 34. Piranha Plant Slide. 33. Super Bell Subway. No, we are not making that joke again. 32. DS Wario Stadium. 31. Waluigi Stadium. So this is for sure a better version than the one we got on the GameCube. If I want to be a jerk, then I can say there's a few questionable choices like the positioning of the plywood pipes, but honestly the addition of the elevated ramps and especially the fact that this looks like it belongs in Mario Kart 8 more than makes up for the silly choices. If this version is from Mario Kart Tour, then they did a better job hiding that than with most of the other courses. 30. Mute City. 29. Nintendo 64 Rainbow Road. I hope you're all sitting down. 28. Mario Kart 8's Rainbow Road. Ladies and gentlemen, my most cancelable take. I still like this rendition of Rainbow Road after all these years. Just look at those scores. One can only wonder what is going on inside my head. Perhaps I want to be different or special like flat earthers and warp my reality to fit my narrative. It's the only explanation, cause there's no way a sane person would rank Mario Kart 8's Rainbow Road at 28th place out of 96 courses. Absolutely ridiculous.
Why did Ed say that?
It's a reference to a comment he got in the past. Pay it no mind.
Huh.
27. Moonview Highway. I was so convinced that we were not going to get a genuine city-based course like this one or Mushroom City. We were all told that we would be seeing so many inspired city courses like Tokyo Blur. Why would I have seen Moonview Highway coming? The course itself is honestly pretty faithful to the Wii version. It was a nice place to see come back, and any problems I do have with this one are nitpicks that no one but me cares about. For example, the toll booth Mii's getting fired and replaced with Koopas. Not as hilariously awful as the stationary Shy Guys in the Coconut Mall parking lot. I do, in fact, like this course. 26. GameCube Sherbert Land. 25. Tick-Tock Clock. 24. SNES Bowser Castle 3. Did I just say SNES? Does that mean that I'm about to talk about another tour rip pulling directly from a SNES game? Ugh. Wait, this doesn't look like a SNES asset flip at all. The graphics and details here look like they were made for a modern Mario Kart game. Like, for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And these walls are giving me Mushroom Bridge vibes, where I am given an almost primal urge to stay atop them without falling off or losing my placement in the race. And they added an anti-gravity segment that doesn't feel chucked onto a wall at the last second. Instead, we're climbing up a lava waterfall. It's almost seamless, just like Mario Kart 8. Okay, what is going on? This course isn't anything like the other courses I rambled on about for Mario Kart Tour. This course is actually short, simple, and sweet. Clearly, and surprisingly, a standout. Ladies and gentlemen, I can finally say it. In my opinion, this course is a worthy entry into the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe list of courses. Do me a favor and learn from this Oh, wait, we're not there yet. I'll have to hold my tongue. 23. DK Mountain. And for reasons I clearly don't even have to explain, but I will anyway, this is Winter Dusk's favorite course in the whole game. The race starts and you mad dash into a giant cannon and get blasted off to the near peak of a volcano, and the descent down is fun. This is another tour course where it's pretty hard to tell if this was a tour rip, with one of the best examples being the simple but effective glow up of the volcano's face. Are there any negative points? Well, the bridge at the end isn't as dangerous? Yeah, I am actually struggling to come up with any valid criticisms. This is entry number 23, by the way, and the courses are pretty much scaling at the 9 out of 10s at this point. Alright, I'm gonna replay this one both on Switch and on GameCube and see what I can come up with. Okay, so yeah, other than the 8 Deluxe bridge not being nearly as treacherous as the GameCube version's bridge, nope, no criticisms. A solid as heck successor. I also took that opportunity to check out the Tour version, and I cannot even call this a Tour rep. The only resemblance to Tour are the trees at the starting line. Other than that, this place is another Mario Kart 8 Deluxe worthy course, and Wynter's gonna love me saying that. 22. Merry Mountain. Another course that looks like it was designed for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yes, I know it was also built for Tour, but look at it. You can degrade this course to go on a cell phone all you want, but at least here it feels like it belongs on the Switch, and actually driving on it makes me feel good and festive regardless of the time of year. And I'm an atheist. Look, not every course in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe needs to be a loop-de-loopish zany world. We drive past a train, up a mountain, down a mountain. I'm satisfied. I'd like one ticket to the North Pole, please. Also, I really like the risk-reward of swerving to take the train tracks and passing half the other racers as a result. What, is that just me? 21. Neo Bowser City. 20. Yoshi Valley. Leave it to me to be so fact-checkingly wrong about which pathway is the shortest and fastest to take. My route is definitely one of the better options and will definitely help, but no, the bridge path is in fact the most ideal route to use. My apologies for that. 19. Singapore Speedway. Alright, here it is, the one World Tour course that I think is actually good. Yes, the hallmarks that tick me off in every tour course can still be spotted here and I hate looking at them. But I could ignore them just a bit easier here because this course is so pretty, especially those moments we are coursing through the air. More importantly, unlike the other World Tour courses where they all just kinda blend in and all the laps feel the same, each lap here gives us a different experience while still maintaining that underlying theme of, well, Singapore. It doesn't feel like a generic World Tour course is what I'm trying to say. 18. Cloud Top Cruise. 17. Hyrule Circuit. Nothing new to report on my end. I still think this course is fire, even though the small issues I discussed in the previous video still hold up. But I would like to mention that this course is actually CNB's all-time favorite, and yep, again, I totally get why. 16. Moo Moo Meadows. 15. Snowland, not to be confused with Frapp Snowland. As we've seen before, it is very easy to fuck up a GBA course when adding one to a future Mario Kart title such as 8 Deluxe, with the most despicable act being to just plop it in without doing anything to make it fit the game's aesthetic. If it is a flat, boring nothing of a course, you can bet a lot of money that I'm going to rag on it. Snowland, another course from Super Circuit that could have easily fallen into this trap, thankfully does not do that. The course layout is still the same, the music has the same melody, and the overall theme is still present, but now we have an actually interesting spin to it. The course goes up and down in elevation, a white forest, frozen lake, an icy stone brick bridge, and just enough of those multicolored blocks laying around to remind us that yes, this was once a Game Boy Advance course. Comparing this to Tourist Sky Garden is night and day. 14. Oh man, this is gonna get me in trouble. Wii Rainbow Road. Everyone, please hold your fire. Just because this course is not in my top 5 does not mean I think this course should never be compared to them by anyone else. I feel the need to remind everyone that this list is ranking by my favorites, and the fact that this made it in the top 15 within a 96 course ranking should be seen as a good thing. And yes, I do love this course. Rainbow Road on the Wii has the advantage of taking inspiration from a Mario game that was entirely themed around outer space, and it rocks that theme so hard. Star bits and grand stars aplenty, and the music fits the Mario Galaxy theme as well. The track layout is also iconic. When I think of Rainbow Road, my mind immediately jumps to those double loops. It made the top 15 for a reason. 13. Maple Treeway. Okay, the Mario Kart Wii fan service is appreciated, but I do think we have plenty. I say right before I gush about the best course from that game returning to this game, and naturally I'm on board. With the sole exception being that the alternate path at the starting line now requires a mushroom to access. Seriously, what the hell? I really do love how this course looks even now. The orange leaves still pop with the yellow bark of the road, the layout still gives one a glorious adventure around this gargantuan golden tree. I feel like anything I could say has already been explained for years now, and I could listen to Maple Treeway's music for hours on end. It was only natural that Tour decided to get its grubby little hands on this one. 12. Big Blue. 11. Mount Wario. 10. Ninja Hideaway. When this course came out with the first few booster cups, I didn't give it the time of day just like the rest, because similar to the others within its cup, Ninja Hideaway looks like a child's playset. From an aesthetic perspective, this cheap plastic looking Hot Wheels mess doesn't belong anywhere near the courses in 8 Deluxe. No textures, no effects, not a care in the world was given to make this place look like it wasn't designed for a cell phone. Which is why I said from the start that I would not be considering how a course is textured or graphically coded for the purposes of this ranking, or at least I tried to anyway. It's a major problem, but not enough to take away just how much fun my friends and I have when playing through every single time we come back here. The branching pathways alone give this course a unique feeling where you can take a differing route for every lap. What really blows me away is, unlike the other 7 courses we got from the first wave, they actually decided to utilize the theme applied to this course. Spike traps, bamboo shoots, large fans. I'm sorry, are we actually seeing a course that actually pulls from Japan's vast culture better than Tokyo Blur, and in a fun and creative way? As you can all see, if I had considered Ninja Hideaway's visual graphical design as a factor and placed it lower on this list, then I would not have given this one the absolute respect it deserves. 9. Thwomp Ruins. 8. Squeaky Clean Sprint. Back in 2021, when I made my first Mario Kart ranked video, if you had told me that we would be getting a race course based on the inside of a lavatory, I would have told you, oh, a toilet-themed racetrack? Pretty fitting to come from a mobile game that plays on par to a functioning toilet. I have played Mario Kart Tour, by the way. I didn't like it very much. Anyways, back to Squeaky Clean Sprint. It's a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe level course through and through. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You don't need to have a bunch of loop-de-loops or huge spectacles to compete with the other courses in a tier list, and sometimes a simple and creative idea is all you need. Also, this course has the same ideas in terms of really running with the theme as Ninja Hideaway does, except in my opinion, Squeaky Clean Sprint takes advantage of this way better. There's one path you can take where you have the opportunity to bounce off a Mushroom Gorge mushroom, and when I first saw that, I was questioning why that was even there. It looked out of place. So I flipped the camera around, and it's actually a potted plant meant to decorate the bathroom. And that's just the start of it. The sink, the broken toilet. When I think of creative ideas like this, my mind goes wild for what we might actually see in Mario Kart 9. 7. Electrodrome. 6. Waluigi Pinball. I'm willing to give the simplistic texture style used in Tour a pass for this course, because it honestly kinda fits with the overlaying theme. It's a pinball machine. It's gonna look a bit crude, and having said that, this course is an amazing glow up compared to its past iterations. I would argue that Waluigi Pinball is allowed to have the Grumble Volcano defense, where nothing about the course should be changed, because that's how iconic this course is. And it indeed works here as it was given to us for 8 Deluxe. Okay, actually, well, I do have one nitpick. I would personally have all the vehicles set to anti-gravity mode for the entire race, even if we're not actually in anti-gravity, because encouraging everyone to bump into each other for boosts really would have sold the whole pinball aesthetic. But let's be real here, this is one of the most beloved courses for a reason, and even if we don't have that tiny little pointless criticism I have, that's more so just a suggestion. I still love this course regardless. Oh boy, we finally arrived at the port that everyone has been waiting for. Again. In case this is your first viewing of a ranking video on my channel, we have now reached the bottom 5, and unlike the rest of this video where I skipped over nearly all of the courses from the base game, it would probably be for the best if I go over every course here at the bottom, because this is the bottom 5 of a 96 course roster. I might as well go all in here, even if it gives me even more reasons to be cancelled. I am truly and very sorry if your favorite course has made it all the way down here. You can be rest assured that I do not judge anyone who likes these 5 courses, and all I can say is that I hope you can at least understand my reasoning for why I ranked these 5 as low as I did. Welp, let's see how much my opinions of these courses have changed within my own eyes when lined up against a whole new serving of courses. Will my lowest entry in my last video crack the bottom here too? Here we go. 5th worst, Dragon Driftway. Yep, I still think this course's layout is kinda bad. As I mentioned before, the number of extremely tight turns and the very narrow pathways, both of which make up the entire map, is not a good combination, especially when 12 racers total are driving at once. Please, Nintendo, give Gobblegut another chance. It's a shame that such a unique and clever concept was executed so poorly. I'm sure people wouldn't care if this course did, in fact, come back in 9, but if I could make a small request here if it does. How about creating more courses like this one where other past Mario titles are creatively referenced, like New Donk City? Since this list is buggered all to heck anyway, allow me, the ambassador of cringe, to take this opportunity to suggest a possible inspiration for a new track in 9 referencing a previous game that can fit into the Mario universe. Wonky Circus from Wario World. You're welcome, Nintendo, for the amazing idea. 4th worst, Cheese Land. And with that, 2 of the courses that comprised my bottom 3 before the booster course was announced have been bumped up a smidge in the rankings, but not by much. Again, the devs tried their best to revamp this course as best as they could from its original rendition on the Game Boy Advance, and I give them nothing but respect in that regard, especially when you look at other courses, including GBA courses, that came out during the booster pass. But their attempt failed. I don't like this course. I won't repeat what I said before in my last video because I pretty much nailed it last time and my issues from several years ago still hold up today. I will clarify for the record, however, this is not a god-awful course. That's right, we have still not yet reached the E tiers yet. The reason for that is while I do not like this course, I will still drive on this course and not feel like I've been cheated or robbed out of a good race. 3rd worst, Dolphin Shoals. And there you have it, everyone. All 3 courses that made my bottom 3 have been outshined. Given my occupation and my love of the sea, one would think that I would love this course too, and to be completely fair when looking at it by only its theme and outward design, I do love it. But I have a checkered past with Dolphin Shoals. I explain it in a bit more detail within my other video regarding the details of my anger towards this course, so I won't go into detail here. But I will say that the Star Cup gave me the most trouble when trying to triple star the whole game, and Dolphin Shoals was the culprit. No matter how hard I tried to master this course, the amount of apparent RNG and factors that would screw me out of a perfect first place attempt after attempt just prevent me from enjoying it even to this day. But now that almost a decade has passed since I was first introduced here, I can say with certainty that I've gotten much better when it comes to brute forcing this course, and that's why Dolphin Shoals still only reaches the D rank for me. If I have to race on this course, whether online or against my fellows on the ship, I can accept that with ease. Don't worry, because things are about to go downhill very fast. Second worst, Sunset Wilds. Hey, so that comment I made a few entries earlier about the base courses getting really clever with recreating Game Boy Advance courses over the ones remade for the booster course? Yeah, this is what I was mostly referring to. I would rather race on a Mario Kart course that's poorly designed and convoluted like Dolphin Shoals than race on a bland and boring course with nothing going on for it like Sunset Wilds. First of all, why are we calling it a wild course? Have you looked at it recently, Nintendo? We sure are driving on a flat, simple, and boring layout that could have worked if the devs decided to take advantage of it. Instead we got, hold your breath, a flat layout with only 2 hills at the very end with mudslicks, dinosaur tracks that abruptly cut off in the middle of the road, and Shy Guys that spin around and barely move. That's the whole race. Slow down, guys, I can only take so much heart-pounding excitement at a time. I mentioned it before and was able to tolerate it due to how it was implemented in the other Game Boy Advance courses. But here, that obnoxious colored brick wall bordering the course just overtakes the entire theme to where all I can even remember when not racing here are those multicolored blocks. And, as someone who played Super Circuit all those years ago, I am well aware of the specialty that this course and this course alone provided. And I figured that even though this course is a downgrade, at least we'll still have that one amazing feature. Except, no. On top of the absolute lazy direction that was taken for this area's design, the devs behind Mario Kart 8 Deluxe decided to take away the most unique and enjoyable aspect of this course, the actual setting sun, and replace it with a basic orange skybox for the whole race. This is not a Game Boy course transformed for the modern era of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's a tour course, lazily ported over with no graphical updates, no layout upgrades, and no unique mechanic to possibly make up for its simplistic race outline. I have mentioned time and time again throughout this video that we should not be accepting lazy and rushed port jobs from Mario Kart Tour, especially if you line them up with the courses that were made for base game Mario Kart 8 all the way back in 2014. And the courses we got then still look and play better than how Sunset Wilds looks and plays today. Not to mention that in those older courses, I actually have fun racing on them. I hate racing here because I get bored, and that is the biggest sin when it comes to Mario Kart racetracks. So, congratulations, Sunset Wilds. You suck. Here's your E rank. Go back to Mario Kart Tour and stay there. From what I hear, you actually have the Sunset in Tour, so don't let the door hit you on the way out. And you know what the worst part is? All of that, and Sunset Wilds is still not the worst course we were given in all of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. After the release of the second wave of the booster course, I was caught so off guard that I actually had to sit down and think for a very long time about how I felt about the addition and execution of SNES Mario Circuit 3. Is it better or worse than Dolphin Shoals? I can't believe that I'm about to say this, but given the choice between the two of them, I would rather race on the course that has too much going on than a course that has nothing at all going on. Whoever thought that it would be a good idea to plop this empty wet fart in the DLC list clearly doesn't understand the appeal of Mario Kart 8 at all and needs to be reprimanded by the higher-ups. The entire course is on a flat plane completely bordered by more of the colored SNES and Game Boy blocks that we see enough of in better courses like Donut Plains 3. Here we have just a single loop of a road with only a few tiny obstacles that are either merely an annoyance or just there to be stage props to fit the background. I thought SNES Rainbow Road was a boring waste of a course slot, but oh my lord, what are we doing here? I'll tell you what we're doing, wasting our time, which is why I go out of my way to avoid racing in this empty wasteland when playing online with my friends, and most of the time, they don't try to argue with me on this one. I'd be willing to be a little less harsh on Nintendo if they decided to import this place from SNES 100%, giving it a real 8-bit crushed Super Mario Kart feel. But of course we don't even get that. Instead, we get the bland, low-effort, tour-esque plastic toy look that all of the early Booster DLC courses were smeared with that I've been bitching about this whole time for a justifiable reason. This style clashes so hard with the rest of 8 Deluxe that it feels like we're playing an earlier build of the game where all of the graphic details were replaced with Mire textures. But no, we're playing courses that were added nearly a decade after the base game was completed. The leftovers from Mario Kart Tour. I may be bothered by the other tour courses being added in, but I'm not actively arguing that they need to be removed and or replaced. Well, I'm saying it here. This rendition of SNES Mario Circuit 3 needs to disappear. Either remake it from scratch and try again like what you did with Donut Plains 3, or just replace this course entirely, because what we have right now is an insult to the years of progress that Mario Kart as a whole has gone through. 8 main games, 4 spin-off games, and even an experimental AR toy car model, and now you're making us pay extra for raw apathy in the form of a Mario Kart track. But I know exactly how this controversy is going to end. It's already in the game, so we can't change it now, says Nintendo. Well, to that I say, remove this stain from your arguably best game in the franchise. Believe me, any course that matches the style, effort, and quality of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe can and will be accepted into the slot that SNES Mario Circuit 3 is currently occupying. At least I hope so. SNES Mario Circuit 3 is without a doubt the most insulting course I have ever raced on in Mario Kart history, ever! And it is for that reason why I have this course ranked as worst in the game. 96th place out of 96 total courses. Nintendo should be ashamed of themselves for thinking this course would be good for the booster course. And with that off my chest, the worst is out of the way. Now we can reach the final dock and look at, again, in my opinion, the best of the best. If you haven't seen your favorite course yet, don't worry. It means that your opinions regarding those courses are closer to my opinions than ever before. And I'll take that as a compliment. Just like with the bottom 5, while I will briefly talk about every course here, I'm not going to blab for too long about the base courses compared to the booster courses, but I will mention any new details that may have altered my thoughts on them since last time, if at all. Anyways, which 5 courses stand above the rest? After all this, it's finally time to find out. 5th best, Sunshine Airport. I didn't mention it in my last Mario Kart video, but one of the reasons why I grew to appreciate this one so much is because of my constantly having to repeat the Star Cup during my Triple Star Marathon. Thanks for messing me up so many times, Dolphin Shoals. So much detail was added to make this place really feel like an airport, and I think the end result was well worth it. If this is how much Delfino Airstrip has improved since Super Mario Sunshine, then I would love to see how much of the rest of Isle Delfino has evolved and upgraded. 4th best, Animal Crossing. Unfortunately, I had to come to terms with myself that I am just not a fan of the Animal Crossing franchise as a game series. I gave it my best shot and played New Horizons when it came out, but I'm sorry to say that these games just aren't for me. Having said that, I can't appreciate enough just how much of an impact Animal Crossing has had throughout the years, and honestly, I think its placement as a guest rep in Mario Kart was well deserved. As for the course, well, naturally, in my eyes, it's still a 10 out of 10. 3rd best, Yoshi's Island. Duh, right? I'm not sure I can accurately put into words how excellently done this place was, but I can certainly try. First of all, at the time of writing the script and doing the voiceover, I wasn't sure if this was one of the courses brought over from Tour. It probably is, but man, did the Mario Kart devs do a good job making this course look like a complete original in modern day Mario Kart rather than a lazy ass pull from my pocket brick. More importantly, I love Yoshi, so seeing a new Yoshi-themed course after such a long drought was such a well-deserved shock to the system in a booster course filled with lame picks like Toad Circuit and SNES Mario Circuit 3. This course just makes me want to pick up Yoshi's Island and Woolly World again. Also, I guess I better find time to play Crafted World too. The point is, my cold dead heart actually felt something when I finished the race passing through the flower hoop on the final lap, and I think that enjoyment speaks volumes. Well, well, well. Only 2 courses are left. Which course is gonna take the silver medal? Do you even remember which 2 courses are even left on the list? In my opinion, the second best course to race on in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is Toad Harbor, which means that by process of elimination, that course has overtaken my favorite course in the base game. But we will get to that course in a moment. For now, let's talk about San Francisco, because second place out of 96 is nothing to sneeze at. I do not live in, nor do I work anywhere on the west coast of the United States. I am a Great Lakes furfro that isn't qualified to work in the oceans. Yet. I've only ever visited San Francisco once in my life, and predictably it was the nice downtown area meant for tourists. So I genuinely do not have a say when comparing the real city to the rendition we see in Mario Kart 8. I believe it's better to view this course as a fictional caricature, meant to borrow the themes of San Francisco rather than being a direct one-to-one recreation. And following that belief, I'm hoping that most people can see now why I dislike the World Tour courses as much as I do, if you didn't understand before. Talking about Toad Harbor, however, this is exactly what those kinds of courses should have been. Admittedly, I didn't really go into too much detail last time, but there isn't much to say. The vibes are lovely, giving us that genuine coastline experience that I encourage everyone to experience in real life at least once in their lives. The course layout is excellent. Hugging the coast gives us a beautiful ocean view in between the sailboats and trick boosting off of the tugboat, drifting past the seaside marketplace and village, and as far as the trolley goes, come on, that's awesome. Big enough to fit the theme in a loud and exciting way, but loiters around only long enough to not get in the way in any annoying manner. There are many reasons as to why this course was my favorite when I made my first video, and I hope I was able to explain briefly but efficiently enough to show why it's still placed second out of 96. Okay, there's no need for a drum roll, we've been here already. Pretend you didn't see this one coming, it'll help me feel like I'm shilling to the popular opinion slightly less. Yeah, so as I'm sure the majority of you could have predicted, the moment that 3DS Rainbow Road was brought into the booster course, I knew this was going to outmatch Toad Harbor. Everyone who has played 7 knows that this course was a masterpiece, and I'm sure that more than just me were a little worried due to the reputation of the booster course. With Mario Kart Tour being the reason why we even got the booster course in the first place, a clear question was looming. Would Nintendo give us a version of 3DS Rainbow Road that would match the quality of 8 Deluxe? Or would we get a lazy import from Tour, a la Toad Circuit? Answering that question first, I mean, look at this place. It looks fantastical. I know people will debate me on this next part, but this is the best looking road that any version of Rainbow Road has ever had, and that's just me talking about the road. Let's talk about the theme. Mario Kart 8's rendition was a space station. Mario Kart 64's rendition was a skybound train ride. Mario Kart Wii's rendition was one giant Mario Galaxy reference, and Super Mario Kart's rendition has overstayed its welcome. Mario Kart 7's rendition is just pure outer space themed in the best way possible. Driving around planets, driving around Saturn, driving on the rings of Saturn, ramping off the road and driving around an asteroid. One would think that we would have seen mechanics like that much sooner. Mario Kart 7 has quite the reputation for being subpar, and while I do understand why people would say that when looking at the character roster, I cannot agree whatsoever when I look at the courses added in. I mentioned it before, but I can't think of a single course introduced in that game that I genuinely dislike. Toad Circuit might be the weakest, but it's still a decent course for being a debut course for the game. And for the final course being this one, and to see it being revamped in such a beautiful quality for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it absolutely earned S tier. Throughout this video, I have made my opinions pretty clear for all to understand, but after completing my script and looking over all the courses, I did take note that I mostly talked about the quality and theming more than the actual layout of the maps that we have been driving on. Well, I think there are 2 underlying reasons for that. The first reason is that in terms of map layout, there isn't really much to say about them. With a few obvious exceptions, such as 3DS Rainbow Road, most of the booster courses are quite simplistic, which is a stark contrast to the wild, zany, and windy courses that Mario Kart 8 was known and beloved for. There's just not much going on towards courses like Riverside Park. Turn left, drive under tunnel, make a right, whoa, a waterfall. It's just not worth mentioning. which is a problem I have with them, but I doubt everyone wants to hear me whine about boring map layouts probably 36 times. Which leads me to the second reason. The themes of the booster course don't jive with the themes that make up for the majority of Mario Kart 8. Now, don't get me wrong, they don't have to at all, and many base game courses don't either. Take Excite Bike for example. But nearly all of the courses introduced in the booster course either don't have the layout to get freaky with the anti-gravity, or just have the anti-gravity shoehorned in at weird times. Or just don't have the same punch as courses in the base game, which is really annoying. My point here is that the booster course packs chosen don't feel like they belong in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at all. I get why they were added, and I am happy that Nintendo decided to double the size of the entire game. I'm not a snob, and I always have fun playing Mario Kart 8 with friends or online. The problem here is that I had to rank 96 courses from favorite to most disliked, and when it comes to adding 48 courses to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I feel that at the very least that the courses should be on par with the game that's being added to. This is doubly true if said game is nearly a decade old, and this is triply true if we have to pay money for them. Otherwise, I'm not going to like those courses nearly as much as the ones that we already had. Going back to this final entry, as I said before, I am very happy to see that the best course of Mario Kart 7 was brought over in a respectful manner. I liked this course the most out of the roster from that game, which, yes, means that my bias has a bit more of a say here, but that's just it. This is a ranking of my favorites. In terms of what I just covered, the anti-gravity actually feels like it belongs here, or maybe that's just because it's outer space. And as I mentioned like 4 times in this segment alone, this rendition looks gorgeous. And crazily enough, I'm not the only one that has this as their number 1. This is also Blob's favorite course. All of our opinions have been pretty different for each other, but out of all of us, Blob and I knew that our takes would clash the most, and I'd say they have. But at the very end, it turned out that our favorite courses were one and the same. Poetic. If it means that we get absolute bangers like 3DS Rainbow Road in future Mario titles, then I will gladly swallow my pride about receiving courses like Dolphin Shoals as well. That's how good 3DS Rainbow Road truly is. And with that, I think I've said all that needs to be said, and thankfully it appears that nobody has assaulted me and all of my limbs are still attached to my body. Though I suppose I won't know for sure until after a few comments start rolling in. I think it's safe enough for me to go back to my usual speaking voice now. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, then hopefully you'll like the next video I have planned too. I know that a lot of people have probably jumped off by now, so I don't really feel bad spoiling it here. Consider it a treat for what's to come on Ed's channel. My next video is going to be a full coverage of Hyrule Warriors 1. That's right, I'm going to be covering the entire story from the very beginning, when Zelda first saw Link in the training yard, to the very end, and I will be back to my peppy and jovial persona, I promise. Assuming you guys like that speaking style of mine. Hard to tell. If that video is already out by the time you get to this one, I'll have it here as one of the 2 videos on the end card in case you guys might be interested. I want to take this moment to do a few promotions, because I rarely ever do that and I have a bit that I want to share. Some of my closest friends have also been setting up and working on their own gaming projects. Wynter, whose course ranks were also represented in this video, has been streaming over on Twitch. His primary focus, at least for now, are games developed by miHoYo. Yes, that miHoYo, where he streams both Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. So if you're a fan of those games and want to try watching some fresh streamers, go check him out at Wynter_Dusk on Twitch. Meanwhile, although he's having about as much luck as I am uploading, another friend of mine, Ultimentninja, is preparing to work on more videos for his own YouTube channel. Lately, he's been preparing to work on more Let's Plays of horror games, such as Subnautica, and if the heavens throw me a damn bone, maybe you'll even find me over there being an annoying mutt.
Foot stomp. Yeah! Foot stomp! Crunch! God, I feel so powerful. Oh, I didn't want to do that.
I really want to play Lethal Company with Ultimentninja, but I barely have time to work on my own stuff, so I guess I better hold my tongue. Anyways, follow Wynter on Twitch and subscribe to Ultimentninja here on YouTube, and I'll see you next time, guys.